big man, I have a question for you because you're
Yes,
old.
sir. I
Did
am.
you know that Google was in the gaming business?
Um, kind of, but
Okay.
did I have to do research on this story to figure out what exactly you were talking about? Yes, sir, I did. And you're talking about a gamer. Like, I enjoy World of Warcraft and all these old school games. I enjoy the new games. I enjoy sitting down playing Fortnite with the kids. You know what I mean? Hey, we win a lot of battles, man.
What can I say? You have the physique of a gamer, so I'm not
I
surprised.
I do. I do.
Yeah. So Google has a cloud gaming company called Stadia. And so what's happened recently is Google's company Stadia is no longer going to produce games for its own platform because they figured, hey, no one wants to make games for our own platform. Why would we?
Well, okay, this here's my irritation. I remember when I went back and you sent me the story and I started going back through some stuff I'd read previously. I remember when Google first came out with this idea. And the idea, their unique idea was we were going to build server-based, cloud-based games, and we were going to do it better than everybody else. We were going to spend the money on the infrastructure and the servers to deliver you the best product. And like we were talking about with cell phones last week, I was talking about cloud computing and that kind of
Right.
stuff. That was their idea. We're going to take and create games that are so good and need so much space and power that you can't just put them on your newest Xbox. You can't put them on your newest PS5 because we're doing it server based and cloud based. We're just streaming it to you, right? And
Right.
that was the original. That was the original thought. This idea now 14 months later to give up on that
Yeah.
makes Google Stadia the same as Amazon just let up 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Amazon, it's got some weird name like Linux or Linux
Okay.
or something like. It's basically this idea, right? But being that
Ouya? Is it Amazon Ouya?
something like that. But anyway, the point is you get access to a bunch of games for a monthly
Right.
fee, right, and that kind of
Right.
stuff. And the point though is Google now becomes just like every other one of these platforms that's trying to get you to pay a monthly. Guess what? PlayStation has this. It's called PlayStation Now, right?
Okay.
Xbox has Xbox Game Pass,
And listen,
right? They're
I'm not.
just bundling, right? Library format. They're bundling
Yeah.
games that they're paying licensing for, right? They're white labeling them. And then you get to play them as much as you want for free. Well, not for free, for your monthly
Yeah.
fee.
What I'm saying, I'm not a gamer, right? So my uncle Thomas is actually CEO of Google Cloud, Thomas Kurian. Um, making that up. But he probably is my fifth or sixth cousin. Probably true.
I'm not going to make any kind of joke here I really want to make because we're being recorded.
Nonetheless, what I'm saying is what I think is interesting, or what's um, interesting to discuss, that Google has had this history of an idea isn't panning out, just
Yeah?
and I think more companies, not even companies, but that's something we talk about on this podcast a lot, is when you're a startup and Google continues to treat itself, despite its global dominance, despite its billions and billions and billions of dollars in revenue, continues to treat itself like a startup. They try
Yep.
something, it doesn't work, they just quit. There is, this is something I've had to learn, which is if I try something and I don't figure, if I can't get it, I don't like it, but I have a gut feeling, I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't do it. Like for me, that was university. That was going to college.
Right.
I could have told you the second semester I was there, the waste of time and money. But I kept going because I'm like, well, this is just what everybody does. So like, I think there is this weird fine line between sticking it out, grinding it out, being committed, doing what it takes, and going, screw this, but I have I've different interpretation. I have a pivot. And this podcast exists because we go, doing these movies, it is stupid. Half of
Right.
these videos are getting claimed, can't monetize anything. I don't care that. Like, the problem I think we had was I liked all the movies. I had
Yeah.
nothing
No, you
unique
and
or
I still
interesting.
like movies. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's like, but it's just like I had nothing unique or interesting to say. Right.
Right.
So what I think is fascinating is that Google is huge. It's everywhere. the concept that it tried to get into a business and it couldn't. And it just went, I
Well,
think
so
that's
I agree with you from the pivot, and you should listen to your audience and pivot, and I do respect that. I disagree from a standpoint of you are Google. You have junk tons of things out there that are making money. You can afford to spend some money, take a loss, and figure something out. What essentially this is them not only I don't know that it's as much of a pivot for them because they are a Google company and they have junk tons of money. If a startup does this, I respect it, right? You got to do what you got to do. You're listening to your audience or whatever. But when a company like Google does this, it almost feels like they're giving up, not pivoting, right? Because what they're going to continue. The Stadia is not dead. What they're doing is pivoting the business model to one that makes more money. So instead of doing something that's going to be expensive to figure out, that's unique, that would provide a better product to people that are paying us, which here's the idea. The idea is you paying for Stadia Pro or paying to play these games, you were the customer because they were building something unique for you. They were going to build something only you can access if you pay them to access it. Now, you are no longer the customer. The people that they now partner with that already make these games and own these games that want to then in turn get you to play more of them and that kind of stuff, they become the customer. So what they're pivoting from is from people that I couldn't get to pay me money for because I was developing product, I didn't already have the product ready for you, to people that have money, meaning the gaming companies that are making these games and stuff like that. So they're pivoting who their customer is and they're going money. So it's not a pivot, it's more of a give up to me. Google could have done something really, really cool, and they gave up on it 14 months down the road.
so. You're right, but I think what something you said in there, and that's the important bit here. They were a startup, and I think what the reality is when you're an incumbent player in any industry, hard for innovate because you have to work to maintain your business.
Right.
The thing about Google is they don't care. They got limitless cloud infrastructure. They got limitless money, but ultimately, if they do something and the event horizon for capital development, 18 months, and they hit their 18 months and there's not doing what they want, that is something
Right.
I appreciate about them as a big corporation because a lot of companies will go down a path, they'll throw billions of dollars at something and then only to go close up shop because it didn't work out, you know?
Well, but again, that's the difference between a startup and a company. I mean, look again, Tesla. Look at Tesla. How many times did they take $100 from people only to turn around and have to give it back because their cars weren't ready or they weren't making enough cars or whatever? So Stadia was in that same vein. Hey, we want to let people sign up for a service that they know isn't quite ready yet, but we're going to work on it. This is what we're promising. And now you're 14 months down the road and you figured out there just wasn't enough people that were willing to give you enough money to fund what you were wanting to fund and do what you were wanting to do. And again, I think it all comes down to money. The fact of creating this new product, especially a cloud-based product, a server-based product, is extremely expensive, right? Running these things and stuff. And then not only it requires you using a network that's not your own, right? Using a cable network. How fast are people's speeds downloading and uploading? And so the viability of your product is completely dependent on a system that you have no control over, whether somebody's trying to play your games out in the BFE or they're trying to play them in downtown Austin, right?
Right.
And that
Google
is their
Fiber,
that's their user experience, right?
right.
So I get it, but again, it feels like a give up to me. It feels like something Google could have pushed through, right? They could have pushed through and said, "Hey, we're going to deliver something really cool." And honestly, that's what I expect from Google. I really do. That's my expectation has always been from Google because that's what they are. They're kind of a Tesla kind of company. Let's throw some money at it and see if we can figure it out because it will better something. It will better a product. It'll better the way we do something. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm of the mindset that it's going to take a newer, smaller company to try and execute what they did to actually nail it, right? And it might take a video game company to be the one that goes, hey, we're going to come out with our own service where you play on the cloud or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. I'm so excited for our next. You know
Oh,
why?
we're moving on to our next story now. All right.
I don't
All
know.
right.
Do you have anything more to say?
Well, you mentioned something there that another company. Now, this isn't a startup, but there is a company out there, been around for a long time. They created World of Warcraft, which is where they got their money, right? Activision Blizzard, which is trying to do exactly that. Activision Blizzard years ago figured out that companies out there that own these kind of platforms to access their members like Steam and stuff like that wanted to charge them crazy amounts of money to be on their programs. There was a while there that Steam was really the only, you know what I mean, one out there to get access to this game. And Blizzard, now Activision Blizzard, and I've got a buddy of mine that has worked for them for several years now, and worked his way up through the ranks. They got tired of just getting chunks of their money taken away by these types of places, so they not only developed their own, right, Steam system, now they're licensing other games, much like, right, Google did here and Amazon did or whatever, but they're using that to then further that kind of technology. That's where they think this stuff goes, is taking these bigger games, World of Warcraft and Fortnite and these kind of things, and taking them to that level. And once they've got the infrastructure built out, they can license it to any big game.
Yeah.
Any big game.
I didn't know that existed. Again, I'm not a nerd. So.
I am. But I wanted to bring it up because you said it there at the end. There are companies out there that are looking at this, and it may not be a startup. Maybe it's one of these existing that are trying to pivot their business.
Listen, it could be an incumbent game maker. Because, again, I think the issue that was here was they're not getting rid of Stadia. They're getting rid of Google's internal division that was games.
Right.
But that has the effect of, hey, like, you know, if they're not good at making games, they're not a games company. They don't make games. They don't understand, maybe they don't understand what it takes. Kind of architecture that makes a game playable, interesting to people, that sort of thing. Maybe they don't get that. It's fine. Maybe.
And you're right. Maybe they turn around and sell those. Maybe those developers turn around, and this happens, especially in the technology world. Maybe the 10 guys that worked in that department, whoever it was, turn around and end up at a Blizzard or end up at an EA, right? Or whatever. They end up at one of these other companies that goes, hey, y'all, because here's what those people have in their heads is 14 months worth of knowledge. Right. 14 months of working on it, right? I guarantee you at least one of those eggheads will end up at another company that wants to do exactly this, right?
Yes.
Wants to pick up the torch and goes, hey, let me give you another 6 months of thought, right?
Yeah.
And working toward it and see if something pops.
And you never know. Like, Google rarely does this, but they may just sell this division to one of those people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, and I'm sure if they think they could make a certain money, because they're going to turn around and charge them for the servers and charge them for the like you said, the soft cost of these things, right? The bandwidth.
Yeah, exactly. And what they will have that starting a platform from scratch doesn't have, users.
Right. Well, somebody like Blizzard, right, owner of World of Warcraft, millions and millions and millions of users already, right? I mean, it would be easy for them to turn around and push any product down that, you know what I mean, down that line, right? Epix uses the same thing, the owner of Fortnite, right? That kind of stuff. Like, they use their Fortnite base. Again, we talk about it all the time on this show, right? Audience. Right? Use their audience, right? So anyway, I just wanted to kind of throw that in there at the end because I thought it was interesting that I would like to see one of these existing players, you know, pick up that banner and really take it home. I think it's possible, and I think it'd work out great for them.
I'm really glad you liked the story about gaming.
Hey, shut it.